The diplomatic summit on Varith Prime was supposed to be humanity's greatest achievement, a peace treaty that would end decades of cold tension between Earth and the Kryn Federation. Maverick Chin stood at the edge of the crystalline plaza, his security badge gleaming under the twin suns, watching diplomats from a dozen worlds mingle beneath floating gardens of bioluminescent fluoride. He was just a junior officer. Nobody important. His job was simple: observe, report, and stay out of the way. Vivian Cross, the lead human negotiator, caught his eye from across the plaza. She gave him a subtle nod. Everything was proceeding smoothly. The Kryn, with their towering frames and skin like polished obsidian, moved with deliberate grace. Their children, rare to see in public, played near the central fountain, their crystalline laughter ringing through the air like wind chimes. That's when Maverick noticed it got a flicker of wrongness. A shimmer in the air near the fountain where the Kryn younglings played. His military training, honed through years of border skirmishes and peacekeeping missions, screamed danger. The device was small, almost invisible, a plasma charge hidden within the decorative stonework, time fragmented into slow motion. The Kryn child, no more than the equivalent of a human 5-year-old, reached toward the fountain's edge. The charge's activation light pulsed red. Maverick didn't think. His body moved on pure instinct, legs pumping as he sprinted across the plaza. Shouts erupted behind him. Vivian's voice calling his name. Security personnel reaching for weapons. He slammed into the Kryn child, wrapping his arms around the small body and twisting midair. His back hit the ground, the child cradled against his chest, his body between the youngling and the device. The explosion ripped through reality. Heat, pressure, pain that transcended description. Maverick felt his ribs crack, felt shrapnel tear through his uniform and into his flesh. The world became white fire and deafening silence. His last conscious thought was a hope, a desperate prayer, that the child was safe. Then darkness swallowed him whole. Consciousness returned slowly, painfully, like wading through thick mud. Maverick's eyelids felt weighted with lead. The steady beep of medical equipment filtered through the fog of his mind. He tried to move and gasped. His entire body was a map of agony. "Don't move." Vivian's voice, tight with emotion. "Maverick, please, don't move." He forced his eyes open. The medical bay ceiling was unfamiliar, technology far beyond Earth standard. Vivian sat beside his bed, her eyes red-rimmed, dark circles beneath them speaking of sleepless nights. But it was what lay beyond her that made his breath catch. Through the transparent wall of the medical facility, he could see them. Thousands of Kryn, the entire plaza, as far as his blurred vision could perceive, was filled with Kryn warriors, diplomats, civilians. And they were all on their knees, their massive frames bowed, foreheads touching the ground in a posture Maverick had never seen before. "What?" His voice cracked, throat raw. "What's happening?" Vivian's hand found his, squeezing gently. Tears tracked down her cheeks. "You saved him, Maverick. You saved SYTH, the child. He's the grandson of the Supreme Commander of the Kryn Federation." Maverick's mind struggled to process. "The bomb. You took the full force of it. By all accounts, you should be dead." Vivian's voice broke. The Kryn medical teams worked for 16 hours straight. They used technology they've never shared with any species. You had 63 pieces of shrapnel in your body, for broken ribs, a collapsed lung, internal bleeding, but the child, not a scratch. You shielded him completely. She laughed, the sound hovering between joy and hysteria. The Kryn have a sacred tradition, Maverick. When someone performs Kalethan Ar, the ultimate selfless sacrifice, when someone places themselves between death and an innocent, especially a child, their entire society honors that debt. Maverick looked out at the sea of kneeling figures. They've been there since you were brought in. All of them. They won't rise until you acknowledge their gratitude. Vivian stood, helping him sit up despite his protests. The Supreme Commander himself requested an audience. The treaty negotiations have been halted. Maverick, you don't understand. They've never done this for any outsider. Ever. The doors to the medical bay opened. A Kryn of impossible size entered, his obsidian skin marked with golden emblems of rank. Behind him, held in the arms of a female Kryn, was the child, SYTH. The youngling's large, luminous eyes fixed on Maverick with unmistakable recognition. The Supreme Commander approached, and then, To Maverick's shock, lowered himself to one knee. Human Maverick Chun. The commander's voice rumbled like distant thunder, translated through the universal interface. You gave your life for my grandson. In doing so, you have shown us the true measure of humanity. For centuries, we have watched your species, violent, chaotic, so brief in lifespan. We questioned whether you were worthy of standing among the galactic community. The commander's hand moved to his chest, a gesture of profound respect. Today, you answered that question. You did not see an alien child. You saw only a child. You did not calculate odds or political gain. You simply acted, knowing death was certain, because it was right. Swiatrix squirmed free from his mother's arms and approached the bed, small hands reaching up. Maverick, wincing with pain, managed to touch the child's head. Swiatrix made a sound, a purring trill, and pressed his forehead against Maverick's hand. The Kryn Federation declares humanity to be Kalethvari, brothers in spirit, the commander continued. Our resources, our technology, our worlds, all are now open to your people. This treaty is no longer merely peace. It is alliance. It is family. Through the transparent wall, as if receiving an unseen signal, the thousands of Kryn rose as one. Their voices unified in a harmonic chant that made the very air vibrate with power and reverence. Vivian stepped beside him, her hand on his shoulder. You did it, Maverick. Not with weapons or words, but with one moment of absolute humanity. You've changed everything. Maverick looked at the child, at the commander, at the masses beyond, and felt the weight of what had happened settle over him. He hadn't been thinking of treaties or alliances or humanity's place among the stars. He'd simply seen a child in danger. Perhaps that was the point. Tell them, Maverick said quietly, that any human would have done the same. The Supreme Commander's expression, difficult to read on alien features, softened into something that might have been a smile. Yes, human Maverick. We are beginning to understand that. And that is precisely why we kneel.